Thank you for joining us on the RP Experience. I'm your host, Andrew Regenhard. Today we have one of our amazing preferred partners, Aaron Barnes, with Resolutions Title, and one of our top producing agents, Stan Whitcomb, with Premier Plus. Aaron, do you want to start us off and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you invited Stan?
Sure. So Aaron Barnes, of course. Andrew, you and I have known each other for a while now. Great magazine. We always seem to match up on events because any of the events that we go to, we always seem to see about the same number of people. But anyway, so my company's Resolutions Title. We're a national commercial agent. We close primarily commercial transactions and always have until we moved and opened an office here in Naples. And we started closing more residential down here because the size of transactions down here are about the size of a small commercial deal in the Midwest.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty crazy.
So it's hard not to do that. But so my company's primarily focused on commercial transactions, but we do close residential. And that's actually how Stan and I know each other so well. But
you're not from down here, are you?
No. My corporate office is in St. Louis, and it's been there since 2010. And our goal, my family's goal, my wife, Lori, and my two boys, Blake and Braden. Blake's 16, Braden's 13. They still go to high school in St. Louis, or junior high and high school. And our goal was to start spending a lot more time down here. That was the main reason for the original office to open.
Now, you invited one of our top producers, Stan. Why'd you invite him?
He's like the mayor of Naples.
He does know everyone. He does.
Well, I've been here a while.
Yeah, he was one of the first guys that I met here, and he and his brother have been very, very good to us. And in a short amount of time, we love those guys. And Stan, he's got the personality to do something like this as well.
Yeah, he's perfect. So, well, Stan, we've been talking about you. You got to introduce yourself.
I heard that. Yeah, Stan Whitcomb, the Whitcomb Group at Premier Plus Realty. So it's been great. I work with my brother, as you know, and it's been awesome. And of course, working with Aaron's been fantastic because he does does things beyond what normal title companies do, which is great for us. And I love the magazine you guys have put together. It's really a class act, and like what you're doing. And your parties are pretty fun too.
They are. We just got done with one last week.
That was great. Yeah, it was incredible. But I grew up in Naples. Been here for over 40 years. Old Naples High School, played sports, and ended up leaving and experiencing some other cities. That was great actually. My brother actually lived in St. Louis for a while. And then we kind of all moved back to Naples, and discovered what a great area this is and how much we love it here, and never left. And so that's kind of what happened. And Naples has grown in such a great way. It's been fabulous to kind of grow with the town. Of course, we've seen a lot of changes over 40 years.
Sure.
Our father was involved in real estate and development, and worked with the Collier family back in the day, and that's how we ended up in Naples to begin with. But being in the business has just been great. Of course, the last few years have been amazing, for our industry, and so that's been also exciting, and building a team around it, and helping other young agents kind of get started, and other experienced agents get the support they need. So I've been kind of growing a team, or a group, which has been fun. Fun for me because I've been working for development sales for 20 years,
right? And
it was pretty much just me. And now I got a team around that it's fun to see ourselves motivating each other and coming to the office, and it's been a lot of fun.
Now, Aaron, you were talking a little bit about your business here.
Sure.
So how'd you get into title?
So in 2003, in St. Louis, in 2003, I'd been involved in real estate, building spec homes, starting to build a few custom homes. And one of the companies that I was working there in St. Louis with was a national underwriter office. And I was getting married in the spring of 2003, and I was running all over the city, managing projects and properties. And my wife, Lori, is like, listen, you're not going to work 7 days a week. And so I was sort of having that conversation with the people at that underwriter office. And I developed a pretty good relationship with them. And they were actually looking for somebody at the time to come in and help run their business development for the commercial markets, their commercial departments, I guess, both for St. Louis and Kansas City. My wife is from Kansas City, so we spent a lot of time there. We had a lot of relationships there, and I did in St. Louis. And so that was in 2003 when things were really good. And so I signed an independent contractor deal with them and came in and in a short time had a lot of success, more than they anticipated, frankly. And so towards the end of that contract, they weren't feeling the love as much because my deal was pretty generous that I'd negotiated, because I don't think they thought that I was actually going to do what I did. And so I left them in October 2010, went to another small agency in St. Louis. And at the time when I joined them, they had 3 offices and 20 employees roughly, and we're primarily a residential company. And over the next, 7 years, I grew that to 23 offices and almost 100 employees. And at the peak, I think we were doing over 1,000 transactions a month. And you go from managing business and relationships, which is originally what I fell in love with about this business, to managing people and problems, right, at that sort of volume. And so 2010 came along, and the company I was with before, it wasn't going the direction that either one of us had wanted, frankly. We were still in the recession, and talked with my wife, and we both decided that, you know what, if we're ever going to try to do it on our own, now's the time to try to do it. And she was behind me 100%, and so we went all in. And it's still being in the recession, it wasn't an easy time to try to go out and find business, and especially commercial at that point. And I never looked back, essentially. That was in October 2010. We just turned, in 2020, we turned 10 years old. And that was a big milestone for us. But this company, Resolutions, I always had the plan that we weren't going to have a ton of employees. We were going to stay focused primarily on commercial as much as we could, institutional type clients. And it's been fantastic. Yeah, we've been very lucky. I've got fantastic people that work with me. My senior VP, he's been with me essentially since I started the company. Wow. And he's Ryan Booty is his name, and he's fantastic. He's a great guy. And in this business, you've got to have people you trust, right? You're handling money, you're handling transactions, you're handling a lot of documents and confidential information, and you've got to have people you trust. And the people that have been with us for as long as they have not only earned mine, has earned our clients' trust. And I think that's what, anytime we get a chance to deal with somebody new coming to a market like this, you got to hit it out of the park with your relationships. And you may stumble and stub your toe a little bit now and then, but you have to be able to earn their trust and know that your people are going to take care of it.
That's for sure. I get this question because obviously we're in real estate, and we deal with a lot of individuals like yourself and Stan and the realtors. What is title? People ask that to me all the time. What is title?
Title is history of the property, essentially. Title is the vesting of a property, owning it. When you buy something, you want to buy this cup, you pay for it, you pay sales tax on it, and you own it. In real estate, whenever it changes hands, that's handled by recording specific documents at the county. And without getting in too great a detail, it's basically a recorded transaction history that we have to follow. And if there's ever been anything recorded against the property, such as mortgages, or if the property's been resurveyed or restructured in any way, those legal descriptions also have to be recorded. And so we go back through history, especially on commercial transactions, typically up to 100, and in many cases over 100 years, we can find the history. Go back as far as you can, especially when it's going to be a development deal. You don't want anything to pop up like a vesting transfer. So, for example, if you had a family member leave you a interest in a piece of property that they owned, your grandfather, what have you, and you never released that interest, but that property continued to change hands over the years, you would want some way to be able to assert your interest.
Right.
Well, when we research property, we issue a title policy on it. And that title policy is the insurance to the current owner, right? So if you came 30 years later after somebody discovered that you still actually had an interest, well, if they purchased, which technically is optional, if you're paying cash, you don't have to get an owner's policy. As long as they have a title policy, an owner's title policy, if you came to try to assert that interest, that policy would step in and defend you. You'd have legal counsel from the underwriter that underwrote that policy to actually defend you as an owner, and most likely probably come up with some sort of a settlement with you. and pay you some sort of an interest or accommodation for your interest in the property.
Makes sense. What about 3 things homeowners need to know about title? Top 3 things.
Wire fraud. That's a big one right now. Wire fraud. And most people just don't understand the severity of it if you don't deal in it every day. The numbers are, I can't even keep up with the numbers and the amount of money that's lost every year from just not following proper secure procedures. And I know that people get frustrated. That's one of the things that we get more so on the residential side. And Stan can probably attest to this. They're like, well, why do we have to do that? Or why do we well, okay, well, that's
guys
ridiculous.
are therapists.
Yeah. Commercial's different because they understand they're doing it on a regular basis. But when it comes to sending funds, it's just become so risky that you've got to make sure that you're verifying the wire instructions, that if you send them out to somebody, you're sending them securely and you know who it is that you're sending them to. We have a multitude of protocols that we follow. We never send wire instructions out unless we do send them securely. And then we follow up with whoever we send them to make sure that they got them. And then we'll ask them specific questions about the wire instructions they received, because part of the big wire fraud scam now is spoofing emails, right? So people sitting out there on servers and copying emails and signatures. You guys probably get them. Everybody gets them, where it looks legitimate, but you go up in the hyperlink for the email address from, and you click on it, and it's like ABC shoe store, right?
That's an important tip for that, because that happens in a lot of other businesses too. So
it does.
You need to check those emails when they're coming in like that. That's a really good point.
And that's, I think they're finding that, ransomware attacks and all those sorts of things are coming from that, clicking on a hyperlink inside of an email. It's just become such an issue that's, if there's one thing that I can lose sleep at overnight is not knowing if these thieves, right, have come up with a new way that I've not yet figured out or been in front of. That's so one, wire fraud. Making sure that buyers and sellers understand the importance of making sure that they're verbally verifying anything that they have, or that anything they receive or anything they give to title companies. Second, having a company that you work with take the time to explain to you the process, right? If working with guys like Stan, their clients trust them a ton. They've gained the trust of their clients over the years. Us coming into the picture, we may not see them nearly as much. So for them to know that they can trust us, it's a factor of us needing to explain to them how it's going to go, what the process will be, and then being available to them. 3, take a deep breath whenever you run into a kink, because 9 times out of 10, every real estate transaction has a kink of some sort, right? Just know that it's not a kink that's going to kill the deal, that you can always work through something, but take a deep breath and then ask questions rather than making assumptions. Those are probably my key 3 things. Those 3 things.
Yeah, people are going to definitely be utilizing those. This one's kind of for both of you, but I want you to answer it first, Aaron. Would you rather work with a lawyer or work with a realtor? Now, you don't have to say realtor because you said
no. Well, that's one of the things that we're very fortunate about. Okay, so the short answer is realtors most likely when it comes to a market like this. Again, I remind you that working commercial, it's usually you're working with all attorneys and clients. They're just very different. Working with the realtors that we work with, I love everybody we work with. We've been fortunate to kind of hand select the people that we're working with. And so we just don't have clients that give us a lot of nonsense. I mean, Stan can be difficult sometimes, but
that's an understatement.
You want to watch out for him if his brother's out of town.
Oh, I think that's trouble.
He's got to push the deal.
But no, that's the true answer. But we're very fortunate. I don't know if there's a client we work with that that I really don't enjoy.
Stan, would you rather work with lawyers or other realtors?
I mean, I work with realtors more than I work with lawyers. Hopefully, because if there's a lawyer involved, we got an issue, and and even after the fact, I try to stay away from lawyers as much as I can. So that's kind of one of the. I mean, you build a relationship with realtors. That's my lifeblood in our business. We're it's an interesting industry because you compete with realtors for listings, but you work with them on the buy and sell in these transactions. So, I mean, how many industries are like that where you have to work with the same people you compete against? It's kind of great in a way, and it's different. So, it's really an interesting industry that way. And I've had some lawyers I've worked with too, and they're great. It depends on the people you're working with, and just like anything, title work. What I like about working with Aaron is that, he's gone way beyond the call of duty and actually sitting down with us and said, how can we help your business? And I love that. I mean, because, everybody's busy right now. So, when he brought Scott and I in, and we actually had a chance to sit down and say, how can we help you make this transaction easier? What can we do? That would meant a lot to us. And I thought that was a big deal. Nice. I know we're friends anyway, but I mean, we had to sit down. But it was friendly, right? And then we want to figure out how to make the everything easier for clients, and I think that's a good tip for anybody who has a relationship within their sphere of influence, whether it's title company, lawyers, or whatever, that you want the right team to be able to make it really seems simple for the buyers and sellers in any transaction, and at the same time, that's before, during, and also after the sale. I think sometimes after the sale is when you make your biggest impact. Growing up in a small town like Naples, and it was a lot smaller when we were younger.
It wasn't 298 people.
Yeah, no, it was not. Oh, was that where 290? Yeah. Really?
298. Yeah,
ooh, almost 300.
I don't really remember what the population was, but that's pretty amazing. It's really small. But Naples was a small town, and 298 is even smaller. So you learn how to kind of get along with everybody and not burn bridges. What comes around goes around. That's a big thing, and and that was kind of how Naples was growing up. Most of my friends are in business who never left Naples and been doing all different industries here, from building to shutter companies. They're all great guys, still good friends with them. I still recommend them, and all these, and because they know they've been around a long time. And if you've been around for as long as we've been in this town, your reputation is not going to be an issue.
Let me ask you this. How much ground do you wish you'd have bought north of Pine Ridge?
Oh, man. You don't even go there.
Oh,
I wish my father would have kept some of the properties he had. Over the years back then,
he had a crystal ball, right?
Oh yeah. Well, he kind of does the whole. He's funny. He's a financial guy, so he looks at what the dollar cost of money in the future. But the property we grew up in, which was in it's south on the water. It sold for like north of $7 million just for the property. I'm like, Dad, you ways undersold that back in the 90s.
Yeah, I didn't know, son.
But it's you live your life. But and everybody moves and buys and sells and does what they need to do. But which keeps us in business, I guess.
Yeah. Stan, definitely want to interrupt you, and let's get up to speed on your business. Where you say you're at Premier Plus, right? And it's you and your brother, and it's a team. So give us up to date on where you guys are.
Well, right now we've got about 7 salespeople working for us who are out there from all the different experiences. We have a full-time marketing director, which you met her coming in, and then we have a full-time staffer, Gayleen, that does a great job of managing all the contracts from, when we get them coming in. Also listings, she takes the paperwork, make sure the association paperwork is taken care of, make sure it's a lot of paperwork involved in every transaction, and on your side too. But she handles like the homeowners disclosures and make sure everything understands everybody, and then we follow up, when the contract's working on negotiation. But we're about 10. We like that. We're comfortable with that number because we can manage everybody and get enough leads to be able to support them. And that's really important to me. I don't want anybody not making money who's working with us. That would drive me crazy. I want everybody to make money. So that's kind of where we are right now. And we tend on growing, as we bring in more volume, that'll happen. And then we have some strategic partners we work with that brings us referrals and things like that. So that's kind of where we are right now. It was a long journey to get there. Because my brother had been doing general real estate for 25 years, and I was with developers for 20.
How are you guys adjusting, with the title, with these crazy demands? I'm coming in, cash, crazy offer. I want to close in this amount. Like, how are you guys dealing with the challenges presented with no inventory in this market?
So from our perspective, the inventory doesn't really affect us other than volume, right? Our closing load. So my people have a lot more free time on their hands, right? For them, it's a chance to take a deep breath after they've been inundated for so many consecutive weeks or months. But I would say the challenges that we're running into right now are really more third-party related. We've done a really good job of staying and managing our internal examining, abstracting process, building commitments, that all that title research I was talking about, the title history earlier. We've got commercial transactions that could take us 2 to 3 weeks to build a title commitment on, because you've got so many parcels, whether it's a golf course, an airport, an entertainment district, whatever. Sometimes it can take a long time. And so we can do a pretty good job of keeping that condensed within 2 to 3 weeks. I'll give you a perfect example. We've got a client that purchased a large business in the Midwest, had locations in multiple states. They needed a resource for survey for one of the large properties in Tennessee, and we weren't able to find anybody that could get to the property for a commercial survey that could get it back within 5 or 6 months. And, on residential, when you hear 2, 3, 4 weeks, that starts, you're like, when you start thinking 4 to 5, 6 months,
That's a long time.
That's a long time, right? And so those are some of the challenges. Now I know appraisals sometimes are taking 2 to 3 weeks now, when earlier you might be able to get them done in a week, right? Yep. With some of the lenders. So the third-party stuff can slow down transactions, because if one of the elements of a title policy is getting survey coverage, meaning that you're insured based upon the survey, right? Well, if you can't get a survey before the transaction's supposed to close, you're not going to get survey coverage. Well, if you're getting a loan, the lender's probably not going to accept it without survey coverage, right? So there's a lot of factors that come into play there. So the challenges right now is not so much inventory-based, it's more access to services. Yeah.
Yeah, and what about you?
Well, the market's been pretty quick, and and as you understand, and so the most important thing for buyers is to be well prepared before they go into the offer. I mean, I'm talking have your finance. If you're doing financing, have it set up. If you're going to do cash, make sure it's ready and you can prove it. So before you go into the transaction or to the contract, and if it's a hot property, which a lot of these are, hot properties, and you're going with cash, make sure you put, something down that makes an impact. I'm talking about like a deposit, or take off some contingencies, things, or anything like that. So that's really important, is be prepared. Make sure these buyers are prepared for when they go in.
I want to segue to talk about someone that looks up to an individual like yourself, Aaron, that has started a business within the title industry. What are a couple of tricks and tips that you'd recommend if they're maybe in the business already, maybe venture out on themselves, or they're looking to get into it?
I would say regardless of the business concept or idea, dump everything you have into it, right? Stay committed to what it is that you believe that you can do better than anyone else, and don't vary from that. As time goes, if you develop a successful business, those opportunities will present itself for you to venture out in different areas. But staying focused, and you've got to be completely selfless, because I can't tell you the number of 24-hour, 36-hour, 40-hour days I pulled without sleep in the beginning, when there was just, you're doing everything.
No one else is going to do it.
No one else is going to do it, right? And, when I remember when we moved into our first office a year after I opened the company, I would work during the day on sales and client relationships and, any infrastructure for the office, while Ryan and his team tried to manage the transactions and keep the business going. And then at the end of the day, they would all go home. I'd change clothes, and I'd paint and put trim up and change door handles and do all that, so literally being selfless. And then just know that your people are your biggest asset. They can never, ever be sacrificed when it comes to who gets paid first, right? I've been fortunate that, my people have never missed a paycheck ever. And that, sometimes it's humbling for yourself, right? That if you have a month or two that's tough there, you just have to be prepared to do that.
Stan, everyone wants to be a realtor. They might also want to be the mayor of Naples, as Aaron calls
I'm officially not the mayor of Naples.
I should have said that.
I'm not the mayor. I don't want to insult the mayor.
What would you recommend to an agent maybe that just got started within the business, or someone that's looking to get into real estate?
Well, I definitely, you got to have a strong plan, a plan for how you're going to start, within your own sphere of influence. And that's where a lot of realtors do start, I mean, I was fortunate enough to start with developers, and that was a great learning tool for me, working with WCI, back in 2001 and 2, where I was selling high rises and that sort of thing. And really, that was a great career stepping stone for me. And, and I think it's just important that you learn the business from someone who knows the business and then looking out for your best interest. I think it's okay. Like the times when I tried to do it on my own and when I was younger, I really kind of, made a lot of mistakes.
Right.
I mean, from publishing to even, the first time I got into general real estate, was 2007, for a couple of years. And that was crazy because, well, first of all, it was a recession, so I couldn't make money, and it was crazy those few years. But I think if you get a good mentor, I think that's really, really important. Have someone that's got your back, or a coach or something like that that can help you. I mean, I had that in college.
You guys do that, right?
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, I mean, we do that. Yeah,
not just for your own people, right?
Yeah. Scott, we try to own people and other people that want to learn, and we try to help them out.
All right, guys, we unfortunately have to wrap this up, so we are moving to our last section, all right? It's going to be the speed round. You guys do not know these questions, all right? Very short answers. I want you both to answer, and we're going to go flying through them. So mostly are would you rathers, okay? And love to hear your answer, and then why, and very, very briefly, though.
Okay.
First of all, would you rather have a personal maid or a personal chef?
Oh, personal chef all day.
Yes, absolutely, personal chef.
Why?
Because food's important to me. I like good food and staying healthy for sure. Yeah.
If I had a personal chef, then I would be like working on like healthy food because I have a bad knack for bad food at wrong times.
Chef all day.
Yeah, chef.
I agree with you guys. I would do a chef 10 times over. Would you rather never be able to go out during the day or never be able to go out at night?
Well, that would.
I've never lived in that world.
I would. Wow.
That's a
tough one.
I would sacrifice during the day, but that's when, in my business, that's when you get a chance to really sit down with people. Yeah, dinner is a little bit more social. Sit down and try to structure a deal with a client. It's typically done during the day outside the office, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a tough one because I need both days and nights, but and I pretty much work both days and nights.
Yeah,
but
so
I if you want to talk about like just enjoying life, you spend more time. I spend more time at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I give up the days because that's when you make. Again, I'm a relationship guy, so that's when you make relationships.
Right,
There's a lot of people in a more casual setting. Yeah.
Would you rather have a full tank of gas or a full battery phone, like all the time?
Full tank of gas. Yeah.
Battery phone.
Yeah, I think
For
I would
sure.
say battery.
Yeah, because I mean, if
It doesn't take that
that'd
much
be
time to
unbelievable.
I can't get to somewhere to charge my phone if I don't have any gas. So.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. My phone, if I didn't have to worry about charging this thing, here's the thing. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Would you rather lose the ability to read or lose the ability to speak?
Read.
Yeah, read. Yeah,
I gotta
that's
communicate.
A tough one. Yeah, I gotta be able to communicate.
I mean,
I'd have somebody else read, and then I can.
Well, then plus you can do auditory reading, and they have like auditory. Like Wall Street Journal, you can actually listen to the article instead of having to read it. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Online? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Exactly.
All right. Last one here. Would you rather be able to read minds or predict the future?
Predict the future.
Yeah, I don't want to read everybody's mind.
No way.
Sales would be really easy, though. Sales would be very easy.
No, I don't think people know what's going on. Some people don't know what's going on in their own mind. So, they've changed their mind a lot. So that would drive me crazy. I think I'd rather predict the future.
Sometimes I don't want to know what's going on in my mind.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to turn it off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was an absolute pleasure. As always, I want to thank you guys so much. Thank you, Aaron and Stan, for coming on here. Real Producers is here at Venture X. We really appreciate everyone here listening. We're extremely thrilled to have you all, and we're pumped to bring Real Producers on the air. So stay tuned for the next episode.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.